And we're back. Alright. Sorry about that again, guys. Like I said, I'm new to this software that's screencast capture light. Um, and yeah, we're doing the political compass test here. I've already made some answers, or answered some questions. That is, and I'm going to continue. Got interrupted there as I accidentally hit the back button on my mouse here and wiped out all the answers on this page. So the latest question here that I'm on, it goes, those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. Medical care. Okay, so this is brushing up on Medicare or medical care, excuse me. And um, I don't like where that's headed. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. Um, Constitutionalists, whatever the fuck that is, or those that think the Constitution is a document that was given to us by Jesus Christ Himself and needs to be unchanging, and you know like those like the Supreme Court, Anton Scalia, and this new shithead Gorsuch like to put themselves in the mindset of a slaveholder that wrote it, and place them, I guess, go back in time then, right, to what they believed, and then come back into contemporary times now with their judgment or morality and weigh in on decisions like that are, this is fucking bullshit. Where am I going with this? I believe that medical care is a right now. Now that we're in this, today in 2017, I think that people have a right to, you know, Medicare, to not Medicare, but yes, Medicare, Medicare for all. That is to say that we all pool into this, it's called insurance, right? We're all chipping in through taxes, and at any moment when one of us gets sick, be it head cold, or be it, you know the worst stage of cancer, stage 4, or what have you, we need to cure those people. Those people are entitled to treatment that won't make them susceptible, or not susceptible. It won't fucking bankrupt them through the expenses that the insurance companies refuse to pay because they're slime balls. We need to cut out that middleman. Now, I can go on with that, and that's just a belief I have, and I'm not alone. There's a lot of us out there that are saying, they're making that noise, but I do think that if you are, old money rich, and you have the, I don't want to say the ability to pay, but if you want the state of the art doctor, I don't see a problem with you going to that clinic. If you want to pay for a insurance company like we do now to have access to state of the art equipment where there's hologram fucking doctors treating you with whatever, go for it. And I know and we can't have those facilities on every block right now, but we largely can give treatment right now to people if we all chip in. So it's kind of a difficult question for me to answer on that premise, because there's universal health care, which I'm a proponent of, and then there's, you know, I want the best health care possible, and let's see here. Those with the ability to pay should have access to higher standards of medical care. Medical care. Higher standards. I'm just gonna go with I agree with the assumption. This is why I like having this recording because you guys can get the context of my answers. With the assumption that there is a standard of medical care that allows everyone to fucking tap into it without going bankrupt. When they or their loved ones or even their friends, because let's face it, well, the current system, what happens is when you get sick or someone gets sick, when a person gets sick, if they can't afford it, they might keep it to themselves and die. But if they can't afford it, they might also go to their immediate family members and try to have them kind of split that tab, which will impact them financially. So then we have a lot of people in a bad way. Extend that to friends, and it's just where does it end? It's not right because it's not. We're not talking about you know midlife crisis. I'm buying a Corvette. I bought a no. We're talking about a roll of the die, a roll of the dice, and this is literally you know things out of your control, and you need assist. You need health care. And why you have to jump through hoops after paying an entire career's worth, decades worth of bill, not bills, but just paying your insurance companies per paycheck, for years, and not being able to uh, reap the advantages of that. It's disgusting to me. We need to eliminate those insurance companies. But yeah, I'll say I agree. I'm not going to go in circles here, repeating myself, but there it is. Governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public. Absolutely, penalize. It's loaded. That's loaded because mislead. What does mislead mean? You know, um, this is a great point for me to bring up the story that I brought. I said I'd get to in that last video about Goldman Sachs. I don't know if you guys are up to speed on this. I'm sure you are. They're called subprime mortgages. Pretty much, you have you know, just imagine an entity with loans, and you approach them, and you're like, hey, you know, I'd like a certain package, and they offer it to you, and they're like, yeah, this is a really good one, right? Your trusted uh, representative persuades you that you know after weighing, looking at your financial situation, that this is the right decision for you to make, and just right there, there's an unspoken trust that should be had that they have your best interest in mind because you're a customer approaching a business. Let's simplify that. And you would expect that business to, I don't know, the mutual benefit of here's my money and I get something that I can benefit off of in return. But the subprime mortgages that Goldman Sachs were doing, they were doing the opposite. They were giving these packages out to people and turning around and saying, not just saying, but then counting on them to fail, profiting off of their failure. If that's not a situation where those with the or government should penalize businesses that mislead the public, I don't know what it is. And what's disgusting is after the housing market bubble burst, and there was a collapse. We almost went into fucking depression back in 2008. How many of those motherfuckers went to jail? Goldman Sachs is still a prominent uh, presence in modern day politics. That's putting it lightly. They largely funded Barack. They largely funded Hillary Clinton. You know, they're still there right now. Like the members are, it's disgusting. But yeah, the government should. It's almost like secularism, where there should not be religion in politics. There should not be an influence of money in politics either. Um, Governments should penalize businesses that mislead the public. I'm gonna say I strongly agree on that account alone. That's what the government's for. It's meant for protecting the people, you know. And I'd rather have a heavy-handed government hunting down those that mislead the public, but allowing them to make their case fairly that they didn't do so, as opposed to what we have now, which is a, you know, if you're rich, then you know, hey, you do what you do. What else do we have here? A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. But here we go again. It's the debate of free versus fair market, and there's a nuance there that could be what they're trying to get at. A genuine free market requires restrictions on the ability of predator multinationals to create monopolies. I'm gonna say I agree. You know, they're using these words ability of predator multinationals. You know, I think that's what they're getting at. I'm just gonna go with agree. The freer the market, the freer the people. I strongly agree with that. And they're really abusing this word free. I'm gonna go with strongly agree with both of them because I see what they're getting at. I mean, ExxonMobil is a beautiful example of this. They consider themselves above governments. You know, oil spill, oh well, don't care, moving along. But yeah, because I'm stuck in that nuance of free versus fair, but I think that's what they mean here. That free is fair. I'm just gonna do a leap of faith as far as that is considered. If not, I'll come back and I'll start another video. We're on page 3. Abortion, when the woman's life is not threatened, should always be illegal. Wow. Strongly disagree. Um, yeah, I mean, let's get into this. Abortion is a topic that will forever be, you know, highly in contention. Um, I can't say I'm pro-abortion, but I'm pro-choice. Um, Personally, um, you know, if I were to have a kid, let's just put it like that, I would not want it to be aborted. Um, but understand that it's not, you know, really my decision. I believe the decision is solely the woman's decision to make, and it's there's really no. I think this is a an issue where, you know, discussion isn't really uh, merited. I mean, not it's definitely merited, but it's just not. At the end of the day, it's about, you know, where you fill those bubbles in, and that's where I stand. I respect those that are anti-abortion. However, I do not respect, the lack of respect for others, right? Because that just describes me. I'm anti-abortion, but I respect others' decisions. I respect other people. You know, if I myself were a woman and got pregnant, I would not abort that kid. But I'm a man, right? And if that situation came into fruition where I did impregnate a woman, then that would be me. I mean, I would understand that it's not my decision to just heavy-handedly make that decision for them. I would love to have the discussion if she were for it. I would make all the cases I can to say don't do it, but I can't force her. It's her body, you know. Um, yeah, it's as simple as that. I don't want to be forced with anything in regards to my body. I'm not going to do that with somebody else. Now, that aside, the government coming in to this situation is a shit show, right? Because it's like in some respects, I'm not gonna, okay, I'll just say it. I'm libertarian in some respects. When it comes to a lot of social respects, I believe the government should not have when it comes to individuals in their, how can I phrase that? Because it's a contradiction. Because the government does need to protect us, but it needs to protect our individuality, protect our individual, just protections. Um, I can get into it some more, but to say it's illegal, you know, decisions aside, morality aside, people are going to be doing it. At the end of the day, you also should protect those that do it, so they're not, bleeding in alleys and hiding in shadows. And it's just, I think of that reality or that version of reality, and it's just ugly. You know, it's a hard decision. It's a hard decision to make. I'm sure, just much like adoption, which would be the pro-life person's solution, the magic solution to abortion. Just adopt it. But don't agree with that. It's not your decision to make. Once again, it's the woman's. But I'm just gonna leave it at that. I'd love to have a discussion with any of you if you want to contact me. Um, Moving along, all authority should be questioned. All authority should be questioned. Um, I'm deciding whether I'm like in between agree and strongly agree with that. I'm gonna go strongly. You know, um, I'm by no means an authoritarian. Well, let's fuck. We'll find out at the end of this, right? But there's nothing wrong with questioning why, and it seems like people so badly want to be either the one screaming from the top of the mountain, those uh, uh, those, let's just call them directives that should not go questioned and expecting compliance, or they want to feel comforted in that someone is doing so and they'll follow it. But I think it's bullshit. We all need to be aware. We should all be questioning. Should there be authority? Sure. Um, but is it absolute? Which is really what this question is dancing on. I would say the fuck no. That's why we have this beautiful government, this beautiful structure with three branches of power. You know, congressional, executive, judicial, and on paper, They're meant to put all of each other in check for that reason, because authority should be questioned. You know, it's really what democracy is about. So I'm just going to put strongly agree, and yeah, stand by that one. An eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. No, I strongly disagree. You know, an eye for an eye and a tooth for a tooth leaves everyone blind and toothless. I think someone, it's a saying that someone said out there, but or a quotation that someone said out there. I forget who. Yeah, it's just that's what the justice system is for. I can think of a lot of parables. One in particular where whatever. I'm not gonna say it, but it's just like there's never really a replacement for that void of um, losing an eye, just to speak figuratively. You know, blinding someone else, gouging someone else's eye is not going to bring sight back. Not to say that punishment isn't uh, justified. You know, there should be some type of consequence because it will act as a prohibitor to that type of behavior continuing. One, but B, it'll also give some comfort to the party that's been afflicted by that. You know, it's two. I can continue, but I just ideally, it's never going to happen because it's human nature. But we should all just be the bigger person. It's so easy to say when you're not personally affected by loss or tragedy uh, at another's whim. But that's where the justice system comes into play because it's just so obvious that let me just grab my six-piece revolver and just go settle it on the streets. I kill someone else's brother or someone that killed mine, and then it's just back and forth. It's just when will it end? When the entire neighborhood is fighting another neighborhood, the entire state is fighting. It's just there comes a point where a third party needs to step in and act as the arbiter of justice, and that's what needs to go down. Next question: taxpayers should not be expected to prop up any theaters or museums that cannot survive on a commercial basis. That's just no. Strongly disagree. Strongly disagree. You know, um, I disagree with that. I feel like I need to weigh in on my answers. Hope I'm not. Anyways, I'm just there's such emphasis on STEM, and I hear discussions out there that aren't necessarily they're not necessarily partisan. They that is to say they comes from all spectrums, all lines of thought. That going to college is should only be looked at as a means of investing in yourself in a way to make a return financially, so you can be prosperous in whatever field you go into. I disagree with that. Although there is truth there, that's reality, yes, but that's not the reality I want to fucking live in, man. That's how you create drones, right? Like there's arts, there's literature. It's going to be ignored, forgotten. At what expense? Just because there's no way to translate that into relevance, into a not even relevance, but just enable to profit off of it. It's it's kind of disgusting. Um, that's similar to this because theaters or museums are art, and we should all be you know um, pursuing art or exposed to art, at the least, um, not forced. And I know taxes is forced, but taxes is forcing people to pay to contribute. But in this goal that I have in mind, where everyone is living comfortably, but not excess. We're all not driving Hummers and have three fucking estates, but we're living comfortably, paying all the bills from one goddamn job, paying for the family, paying for the bills. I think in that situation, you can pay a goddamn tax to enriching your culture. You know, rewarding those that pursue the arts for intellectual purposes, be it creative or not. It's all creative. But yeah, I'm moving on. That's it's invaluable, really. You know, that the reason like that is why taxes exist, in my opinion. That and fucking repaving roads and rebuilding bridges. That's why we do taxes. But moving along, schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. Schools should not make classroom attendance compulsory. That's wow. That's just. I'm just gonna say strongly disagree. Everyone should go to school. Period. I mean, let's hit rewind back like 3 minutes and go to the explanation I just said. Um, education is at the mercy of politicians because of the conservative thought. I'm not going to dive into it, but it's a very me and mine versus the others type of mentality that allows the nature of education to be its own worst enemy. And what do I mean by that? What I'm saying is like there's a intangible return from education, right? If we're all chipping into it, well, it makes the asshole out there that makes the question, well, why am I paying for this? It's not my kid. I don't have kids. It's not me, my. I get it. I get it, brother. But it's not. It's not about you, man. It's about all of us. And I don't mean that as a socialist comrade, but I just mean like this fucking society will benefit if everybody is educated in every goddamn corner. You know, it's an organic thing because that is how we will become better. You know, it's obvious in areas of design and engineering and technology and math, but it's not so obvious in every other corner, in every other market. But what is obvious to me is that if people are uneducated, that means that they won't take advantage of the only social economic tool that is at their disposal to climb that ladder and to make something of their lives in a way that they can, refine their ambition into a a useful, profitable tool as far as a fucking corporation would see it. You know, what they're going to do, they're going to fall in the gaps because those options aren't just so uh, apparent. You conservative motherfucker. I'm sorry, that slipped out. It's just at that point, they're screaming bootstraps as they're climbing ladders and kicking them down. But look, man, it's about making us all better because that person I described that doesn't see the immediate benefit in education is going to skip out, is going to drop out, and they're going to do what? what type of life is that going to lead to? That's called the prison or school to prison pipeline, because you know you're more prone to do. I mean, there's a profit in illegality. People want what they can't have, and you don't need to go through former school to become a provider of things you shouldn't have to those that want it and to sell it. And there's wild profit to be made, and that's where those gaps are gonna, that's where those people fall into. You know, it's easy. You legalize the things that should not be had. That's called freedom. It's called liberty. So boom, you wipe out those markets. At the same time, you offer education to those that fall into those fucking cracks in a way that they have no goddamn choice but to go through it, and they'll be better for it. That's not to say everyone is built for, law school, you know, but at the minimum, you should have a basic understanding of, you know, physics, math, calculus, I would say. It's it's a really good question. Um, and I've already listed my answers, so I'm gonna keep moving on. Love to have you guys chime in and come back to me, and we could kind of go back and forth on this. Um, my drink is empty. I might get some more here. Yeah, let me stop this recording. I'm approaching 32 minutes, and I'll continue. All right, guys. Thanks.